Year 30 is when you walk into a bar or a VFW, and in that 30 seconds, you can already tell.
That guy right there is drunk, that guy's an idiot, and that guy down there knows it all.
There are programs out there beyond the VA.
Many non-profit organizations. The Beer 30 Show.
It's the Beer 30 Show. Made by veterans.
For veterans.
Things have been in the topic next week, which we won't really get into. We'll probably discuss that maybe more next week. We have a special guest with us today, which, I'm pretty psyched about this one, Todd, because these injured warriors, they use photography as a form of
rehabilitation.
Yeah, thank you for giving me those words. So, without further ado, everybody, I have Archer, Greg Archer. I forgot to ask him what his rank was in the Army, but it really doesn't matter because we're all civilians now. But once a soldier, always a soldier. He's the director of photography and also, like I said, a wounded warrior. So I'm going to give you the floor a little bit, Greg, and, talk to me like you're giving somebody an interview, like a job interview. Talk to me. Tell me, your life, how you came into the military, how you got injured, and why you're doing what you do now. Because it's nonprofit, so I'm sure you don't get paid. You volunteer your time. So, yeah, just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries.
So kind of started out after I did a couple of years of college. I was working as a teacher out in California, and I was doing after-school programs and wasn't making a lot of money doing it, and was searching for a greater purpose, and kind of made the leap to join the Army. Decided I wanted to go in as a combat medic. I'd always been into community service before, and I just figured kind of medic or some kind of emergency services kind of fit the realm of what I was looking for and my passion. And so I joined the Army as combat medic. Ended up serving just around 7.5 years, 2 tours in Iraq, multiple exposures to IEDs, just like many soldiers are on the battlefield, as well as other types of contact. But IEDs proved to be the detrimental cause in some of the things that I experienced still to this day, although constantly healing. So basically, in 2008, when I was in Mosul, the last IED I was hit by in August of 2008, I think kind of just pushed me over the edge of being able to function normally, if you will, and started experiencing migraine headaches, loss of thought process. I'd be in the middle of my sentences and wouldn't be able to put much together.
I hate
started
that.
Having started having sleep problems.
What is that?
I'm sure. I'm sure this is a topic of total relation as far as people who have served in Iraq, obviously.
No, you're joking.
So
I was getting ready to say. I mean, I have no idea what this thing is. Everybody keeps calling sleep because I take two things of medicine, and I'm still having trouble sleeping.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you've never heard of PTSD or anything like that either.
Oh no, never. What is that?
So, kind of jumping forward here a little bit, when we came back from our deployment, basically I was falling asleep at I had requested to be a garrison medic, which is basically working out of an aid station. I had realized that my functionality out in the combat field or out with the line units just wasn't what it used to be. I was constantly fatigued all day. I'm sure no one has sleep apnea out there from IED exposure. Just about half of us do. Anyway, after I heard that basically they were going to make the decision to go ahead and push the med board on me, I wasn't real excited about it. I had already pictured myself staying in the military. And I think that alone was the first blow for me, and that was hard to take. So basically, what ended up happening was
Hey,
I ended
Greg,
up getting.
what?
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you because you're going on a roll and it sounds great. I don't know if it's my end or your end, but can you do me a favor and just speak up a little because I barely
no
can hear you.
Sure.
You sound great
I'll
on
move
my
this
end.
mic. Okay.
We'll
move this mic closer. I can use a louder voice, no problem.
Oh, there. That's better.
Okay. So anyway, I ended up being med boarded out of the Army, and it kind of leaves you in this crater. Like, what do I do now?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I just got med boarded. I was just hyper vigilant and active, and I was just shooting my M16 on the rifle range. I was just learning about combat maneuvers here and medical stuff there, and leading these soldiers and leading those soldiers, and now I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, when you get out, they almost. I don't know if it's any different when you medical compared to just ETS, but I remember so much. Once you got back, they consider it if you have ACAP and you make your ACAP appointments and stuff like that. Oh, you're good. You're good. And then when you're kind of like scared or whatever, and you say something, it's the same answer from all the cadres. So don't worry, the VA will take care of you.
I was never told that.
Yeah.
I did. They offered me a med board, but I didn't want to wait around for another year and a half. I was already stop lost, and so I said, "Screw this! I'll just get out and take my chances and see what happens." So.
Oh, yeah. See, I was forced out.
They basically forced me. They said you can take a desk job or get out.
Well, see, that's just it, though. I was a specialist, and usually, not all the time, usually I see most people that they have taken desk jobs are the ones that are like NCO and above. I was only a SPASH.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead with your story. I'm sorry, Greg.
So now here's a common problem we have is we have pretty much a soldier that's been used to being active and now doing nothing. And I was having some anger issues from Iraq and some PTSD obviously in there. And I think I was in denial over the way I was acting because I didn't realize it was all linked to the PTSD and everything. And sometimes you don't realize the changes in your personality that have taken place when you've been deployed. And, through my family and stuff and kind of like them intervening and got to realize that I probably need some help for PTSD and just some maybe better coping skills, be around other veterans. Sometimes just sharing is healing. And so I had a huge blow in August 6, 2013 from the arrhythmia, the cardiac arrhythmia that I developed from being hit by multiple IED blasts. I actually suffered a cardiac arrest in my front yard, and this literally changed my life. I was nearly pronounced dead. I was in complete organ failure. It was an unwitnessed collapse. My downtime was estimated between 5 and 10 minutes, which brain death can occur as early as 3 minutes. So on top of the PTSD that I was already dealing with, I had to recover out of something completely new, which was basically learning how to eat again, learning how to walk again. I was in a coma for almost a month. I was given a less than 1% chance to survive.
Wow.
And, you know, I think when you're already dealing with survivor's guilt and then you survive again, it's almost like it's almost like survivor's guilt all over again. It's like, why do I keep surviving? How does this keep happening, you know?
Right.
Right.
And I felt so helpless. Okay, so here's this Army NCO laying in a hospital bed for almost a month, and I'm used to, you know, giving orders and, you know, having soldiers follow me, and now
Right.
the only thing I can do is lay in a bed, and I can't even lift up my head. How unempowering that felt. How humiliating that felt. But, you know, it was a life lesson for me. It was to learn to be served by others. Sometimes we have to rely on others to recover in a healthy way.
Right.
And, you know, that was a huge lesson here. And I remember laying in bed and just crying like half the night and just thinking, you know, why is this happening to me? You know, like, I've already been through all this, and now I got to recover out of this. It's just one more thing stacked up on top of the PTSD. And it messes with you. You think, well, I could die at any moment now, you know. And so basically what had happened is that I had a cardiac arrhythmia, and it caused my heart to go into ventricular fibrillation. And thank God that my neighbor found me when he did, and that the doctors and nurses never gave up on me. And, you know, it was actually described as a miracle. And from that point on, I realized that story could change people's lives. And I got involved with a few military sports activities and clinics and stuff like that. And through those programs, I actually met Brian Gleba, the founder of Project Wounded Eagle, psychological photography services for wounded veterans. And Brian found out that I was a photographer. I majored, I got a bachelor's in photography.
Wow.
And not that makes you a good photographer, because it doesn't, but passion does. And my passion was to make people feel better, which was weird because I felt like dirt, but to make people feel better and to tell my story and to share in suffering in a healthy way, not an unhealthy way, but a healthy way to share in suffering, to embrace that pain and to share it with others. Actually, I found healing in that, talking to other veterans and even talking to civilians, even though they may not completely understand.
Right.
And
Greg, when you said that you have the certifications and stuff for photography, what school did you do, or did you do an online course? Because I know it's really, really popular right now, and I might leave out a number of schools, but I think it's you could probably help me with this topic. I think it's DeRai and University of Phoenix. Is that how you got this degree, or did you get it before you got in the Army?
You know, I actually finished up a degree program afterwards. I had an AA when I joined the Army, and I ended up finishing afterwards. I did a lot at the local community college, and then to tell you the truth, I finished the rest up online. I found, you know, online learning can be even better than in the classroom, especially us veterans that don't really learn so well from lecturing, and we're more visual type of people, which I've found within many veterans. And, you know, when they say, you know, a lot of times they'll say, well, you know, you just don't learn like you used to. We diagnosed you with a cognitive disorder. Well, then how do I learn? Like, what is the best way for me to learn? And that's through visual for me. I finished through online, and I'll tell you what, I could be just as equally successful today without that, because 100% my passion is photography and making people feel good and changing people's lives. And I do believe I've changed many people's lives through my stories about life and death and, you know, war and
Right.
having this huge struggle. So I met Brian through one of these activities that I was invited through. Through
Was
one
it
of,
was it the Warrior Games?
It wasn't. It was, I couldn't even tell you exactly where we first met because I don't remember. Because, curiously enough, I don't have a great memory, and I don't even think Brian could tell you. So, we'll just call it a mystery in how we met because I'm really not sure, but I do know it was through an activity of a clinic of some sort that I was doing.
Okay.
And Brian, I think he might have seen my cameras or something like that. And he says, "Oh, so you do photography?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, he kind of told me what he was about and asked me if I'd be willing to shoot for him sometime. And I said, sure. And I started out very slow. Now, what Brian does is he founded Project Wounded Ego, which basically caters to wounded warriors participating in some kind of event. If it's a activity like a Valor Games event, if it's an adaptive sports event where we have soldiers that have lost legs that need adaptive equipment so they can hunt or fish or shoot archery, and we take pictures of people, of wounded warriors achieving things that they never thought they'd be able to achieve again.
And I'm sure when you take those pictures, Greg, that even motivates you even more because me and you know as well as others, we have some injuries, but some people they came back with a lot more, injury, and we would think to ourselves, wow, how can you ski with one leg, and they're doing it. So I'm sure just taking the pictures and even bonding with the warriors during the event, and we're not even going to sugarcoat that you're at the event because there's not a lot of events that do stuff for warriors that that just aren't very fun.
Right. And it's great to see the changes that are happening and all of the nonprofits that are popping up with these type of games. It not only motivates the wounded warriors, but the general public likes to see these type of events. And Brian started Project Wounded Ego after attending actually an event as a participant.
Yeah, because I asked Brian, I'm like, so why did you call it Wounded Warrior Ego? And he explained, and I'm sure. I don't know while I was away, Todd, did he explain what Wounded Warrior Egos? Okay, so Greg, can you explain to us what Wounded Warrior Egos stands for?
Absolutely. So Project Wounded Ego, the reason Brian chose that name is we wanted to choose something that fit in with the majority and the main thing, and that is we have wounded egos from either being med-boarded, from being helpless or feeling helpless, from losing limbs,
right,
from having catastrophic experiences in combat.
And and you're right, and I also think you tell me, because I've experienced this and I've seen others experience as well, but they don't say anything. You also have individuals that when you say that you were wounded, like a traumatic brain injury or something like that, they think you're trying to get out of stuff, or they're like, whatever, because
Sure.
one of my guy friends, he went through an IED and same one as I did, and he had blood coming out of his ear, and he still to this day hasn't got his Purple Heart, because traumatic brain injury wasn't designated for a Purple Heart until I believe 2008. In 2008 to 2009, I was told by a Marine officer that they won't take buddy statements anymore. I guess because there are too many medals being put out. So you have to have a casual feeder report or a report in the field stating some kind of a injury.
Right, right. Yeah, that's, and it's funny, I don't have a Purple Heart, and I do plan on pursuing that. The way I look at it, I died, and that's not a lie. I died from combat injury, and
Right.
even though it didn't happen in combat itself, I do believe that's something that I should pursue. I do know what you mean about getting out of stuff. Unfortunately, we do have some people that make the rest of us questionable because of their actions.
Yeah,
I
I brought this up on the show before a long time ago. I think Stolen Valor is a great organization. I love what they're doing. The only negative part is now with Stolen Valor being so broadcasted in society and social media, now it seems that people that weren't military, they kind of second guess,
right. Right.
and it's just like service dogs. One service dog can ruin it for another, but that's going way out of the boundaries. So I'm sorry, I got TBI. I'm always all over the place. Go ahead.
That just sounds like me, though. It just makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I think determination changes everything. I think if you are in the Army, and just like me, where they said, you're going to be med boarded, and I said, no, I'm not really interested in that, but thank you anyway. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I was determined to do things even when they told me that they were going to be med boarding me out. And I think on their side, it was a wise decision. I can't fault the Army for wanting to med board me out. Sometimes we need to take a step back from our own ego and take a closer look at reality and see what kind of burdens we might be placing on our children or our family for, some things that can almost turn selfish because of what we want. And I think determination changes a lot of things. So I think, when your chain of command or doctors see that you're determined to stay in, or you're determined to do something with all that, I do think it changes their mind. I think it can change their mind about, oh, well, I don't think this guy's really trying to pull the wool over our eyes. I think he's really hurt, and he's determined to do something with it. And so, instead of falling into a hole at that time, I was really determined to do something. I wanted to prove to them that I was worthy to stay in. It didn't work, but I ended up doing a lot of good things in between.
Right.
And, meeting Brian afterwards of being med boarded, I don't remember the exact time frame. It was probably within 2 years. And it really changed my life. I had started my own photography company, and I had done a lot of volunteering before that of my own photography in order to get gigs. And I realized, when I was volunteering my photography services and when I turn over the pictures, a lot of times I would get big tips. And, the same with Project Wounded Ego. Some people don't know exactly what our capabilities are.
Right.
But we can cover any situation anywhere. We're not afraid of tackling anything. And I tell you what, I've never felt so part of a military organization again until I got involved with Brian Gleba and Project Wounded Ego, because it really is a sense of teamwork. It does require a ton of teamwork. And, even some of the hours we're working at times to cover these events, it does feel like the military. We might be getting up at 5 in the morning and going to bed at 3 in the morning. We might be running this way and running that way and eating a sandwich in one hand while downloading media in the other.
Right.
So this is all,
Well, hey, Greg, I want to tell you just real quick, because we're running out of time. We got about 5 minutes. I just want to tell you, number one, thank you for your service. Thank you for coming on the show. You know, it's pretty bold, you know, just to tell your story. I want to remind people that, you know, Greg, go ahead and tell everybody you guys' web address so that if they would like to donate, and remember, people, this Wounded Warrior Egos is not just for warriors. I'm sure they would be willing to do any events. It's a nonprofit. They take donations.
Absolutely.
Some of these guys, they drive 300 miles just to take one event, and sometimes they're not even tipped or paid for, which, you know,
That's right.
Nothing is free. I don't care what anybody
That's right.
says. Somebody paid for it. So
That's
once
right.
again, I'll go ahead and tell it's www.projectwoundedego.com. We will have that on our Facebook page. And once again, thank you so much, Greg, for coming on. I hope people realize that this is one of those organizations that they're really into photography, then they might want to donate to this mission. It's
Absolutely.
you know,
We're changing lives.
There's
That's
like
for
500 organizations out there, and
sure.
you know, I tell
We're one
everybody
of
when
the-
they ask me who I should donate to, I always tell them you should donate to the mission that you believe in. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Greg. It was an honor to talk to you. Todd, do you have anything to say?
Greg, what were you trying to put in there? You were trying to say
I was
something.
just going to say that just to remind everybody out there that Project Wounded Ego is literally the only nonprofit that provides psychological photography services for wounded veterans. And we are out there reminding these veterans, these wounded veterans and these wounded warriors of the events that they have achieved. We're showing their achievement through photography, and a lot of those images that we give to them are burned in their memory forever. And this is a way to cope from PTSD, and this is a way to become part of the team again. And we have saved lives because we have personal testimony from wounded warriors that were in a very, very dark place and had seen that picture and said, that, believe it or not, we had a guy even call us and tell us about he was about to harm himself, and he saw the picture that we took of him. And, that's actually how the organization got started by Brian, is that one story about this guy calling Brian and telling him that that picture had saved his life because he saw himself happy around other veterans. And that's how the whole organization got started, because Brian realized that there was nobody taking pictures of these awesome events that they're having for veterans. And that's what we're here to do. And
Awesome.
we are the only one doing it. So donations are really important. We don't really get any donations.
And I'm guessing you guys aren't even on Charity Navigator because you guys don't bring in that. I guess there's a queue of money that you have to bring in to be able to be posted on Charity Navigator,
Right.
and I'm going to guess that you're not.
Right.
So.
And a lot of it comes out of our own personal bank account, but that's okay. That's to me, it's worth it.
All right, awesome. Well said, Greg. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Todd, thank you once again for your great sound, keeping us on track. Everybody, we will see you guys next week. Remember, you can follow me and Todd at